Have you ever watched your daughter throw one bad pitch and suddenly it's like all the wheels come off the bus? Or maybe you've seen her have an incredible bullpen only to completely lose her confidence after one mistake or missed pitch in the game? Hi guys, what's up? My name's Coach Callie B and welcome to the Callie B podcast, Owning Your Opportunity. In this particular podcast episode, we're going to be talking about what it really means to call yourself a perfectionist and how I want you to leave listening to this episode claiming that you will no longer tell people, if you're a parent of a pitcher, that, well, my daughter, she's a perfectionist, or if you're the pitcher herself, you're no longer going to speak that over yourself. And if you're a coach who thinks that there's a pitcher on your team who's a perfectionist, stop claiming that over her. Lean into this because you are going to find that being a perfectionist is not a flex. Let's go. Today, we're talking about one of the biggest confidence killers of any pitcher's game. It's something I've seen in almost 30 years of doing this. It's the same thing over and over again. But yet society uses this phrase as like a flex, like it's almost like a cool thing to be a perfectionist. Y'all, it's not. And here's why. This is a lie. You are literally lying to yourself. If you're a pitcher listening to this and you say, I'm a perfectionist, girl, you're lying to yourself. If you're a parent of a pitcher and you continuously say over and over again, my daughter's such a perfectionist, and you say it in that tone, no. It should be said like, it's sad. My daughter's such a perfectionist. Because here's the truth. When you claim something like that, that's a heavy claim. You're never going to figure it out because nobody's perfect. You're going to have perfect moments. You're even going to have perfect games. But even in those perfect games, you didn't go out there and do it all by yourself. You had to rely on your entire team, especially your catcher. Got you thinking, right? So this is how this lie slowly starts to sneak into the pitcher's life through social media. Again, it's a flex. Society actually thinks it's cool to be a perfectionist. It's not. And I'm not one of the cool kids for this reason. Okay. Coaches speak about this stuff all the time, but they speak it like it's like covering kids in it, you know? Parents, same thing. Comparison. Oof, well, she can do it. Why can't I? Last time I checked, she's not you. And that's why you can't do what she does. You are supposed to do what you do. It's a crazy concept. Stay in your lane. And this one hurts my heart. This probably sneaks in the most is the fear of disappointing people. A pitcher will literally set out for a bullpen with a goal of throwing, maybe 100 pitches, right? They're working on longevity, just trying to create a solid pace, right? Because in truth, a good pitched game, that's usually like anywhere from a 72 to a 78 pitch game. Even an 82 pitch game is a great game. But when you're working a higher number, like at 100 pitches, you're obviously trying to work your stamina, okay? Not just your physical stamina, but your mental and your emotional stamina. It's not easy. Okay. But what happens is you might think towards the end that you're getting worse. So you'll throw another bucket, another 25 pitches because 25 balls fit in a bucket, and you will sit there and you will beat a dead horse. Well, honey, the horse is not going to get up and breathe. It's done past. Okay. So this is why I said this one breaks my heart, because I see so many girls, and I've seen so many girls over the last 30 years do this to themselves. It's ridiculous. And then that feeds straight into internal pressure. So because you're afraid to let your team down, that feeds into that internal pressure. That's why this position is by far so much more than just throwing a strike. There's an emotional management that has to take place. There's a mental management that has to take place. There's a nutritional management that has to take place. There's even a spiritual management that has to take place. Okay? So those things right there, that's social media, coaches, parents, comparison, the fear of disappointing people, and the internal and the internal pressure, those are the ways that pitchers will start telling themselves the lie that they're a perfectionist. Somewhere along the way, they stop trying to improve and start trying not to mess up. You're supposed to mess up. Just like when you were born, you were born walking, right? What did you do? Like typically you roll around on your belly, you do a little army crawl, and all of a sudden you start getting up and you crawl, and then you start learning how to pull yourself up, and then you start taking your steps. Yes, I get it. Some kids don't even walk. They just go straight into running. I understand that. But in this context, if you are not allowing yourself the space to fail, the space to mess up, you're never going to know how to keep getting better, how to learn. What are your adjustments? What are you going to do when you are gassed? That's a whole emotional, mental thing. You have to face yourself in that moment and be like, yo, I only got like 50% left, but I have no other pitcher to come in. I have to be able to manage this 100% of my 50% left. So you can see how easy it is to speak this lie into your life as a pitcher, as a parent of a pitcher, as a coach of a pitcher. You can speak this into their life so easy. And I'm here to tell you that you have permission and you have an opportunity to own here and stop doing it. It's that simple. Like treat it like a cuss word. If you don't cuss in your house and you hear, maybe your daughter say, I'm such a perfectionist. Like you give her a consequence for it. I don't know. It's just a suggestion. Just a suggestion. All right. I'm going to move on here because I could go on all day long about that first part. But this is what perfection actually looks like. And as I go through this, I know you are going to connect to this because when I went through this, I was like, oh my gosh, like, yes, this is spot on. These examples that I'm going to give you, it may in fact feel like memory lane for you. So crying after one bad inning. Yeah, these are signs that we as parents need to be looking for. We as coaches need to be looking for. Pitchers, if you are doing these things, I hope you're listening to this. You need to know that you could stop this, okay? Getting frustrated during lessons. Man, I have had some kids that will get so frustrated that they will start tearing up during a lesson. And I like it, like the emotion. I like to see that because it helps me come around them and support them more. But at the same time, it's so hard to talk to them because they get stuck in their failure. I can't help them. The only person that can help them is themselves. But in that time frame, they don't want to do anything other than keep doing the same thing and expect a different result. That's insanity. I wonder if insanity and perfectionism are actually like hand in hand. Just a thought. Squirrel. But anyways, constantly apologizing. Oh man, when girls come to lessons, they're like, I'm sorry. I'm like, we don't apologize here for learning how to do something. There's no apologizing. When I work with my clients on the other side of the planet, they're just like, there's a different work ethic, right? First of all, but I tell them like, you don't need to apologize. You just need to like communicate with me. How can I help you? All my pitchers, how can I help you understand this better, right? Looking at parents every pitch. Man, when I see that happening, like when I'm coaching travel ball or when I'm out and about watching my pitchers and I'll see them do that, I'm like, oh, we have to stop this. This is not healthy, okay? Overthinking mechanics. There is a time and a place for your mechanics. In a game, no. The game requires you to make an adjustment. It's a one thought process. You think of that one thing and everything happens. In practice, you're allowed to think of multiple things, to get multiple things to move, right? That's where you want to work out all the kinks. So when you're in the game, it just shows up right on time. Perfectionists want to think everything in the game and the things that you say. I've had girls get upset if their parents will say something in the stands, get to your pool. And it just it completely takes them out of the game because now they're worried about their mechanics. Can't do that. Okay. If your mechanics are failing in a game, it's because you're not working them properly in practice. And by properly, I mean like obviously effectively and efficiently for the physicality of the position and movement patterns. But I'm also talking about the emotional and the mental side of it. We got to talk about feel, right? We got to make sure we're feeling the things that we're supposed to feel in practice, because come game time, I don't want to feel anything but the goodness of what it feels to sit a big bat down, or maybe get a big bat to pop out, or get a big bat to ground out. That's what I want to feel. I don't know about you, but another thing of overthinking mechanics, already talked about it. Refusing to throw new pitches or a pitch that gets called. That, like, all that does is send you and your team up the river. Like, the fact that you don't have confidence in what you're doing up there is so contagious to everyone around you. And it's sad because it's kind of selfish, honestly. When you refuse to throw a new pitch that you've been working on, or you refuse to throw a pitch that's being called, it's one thing to shake it off. That's a whole different story. If you shake a pitch off, that's something that a coach and a player, should be able to work out. But to refuse to throw a pitch, like, your whole team is there for you. Let them play. You can't win this game by yourself. So that's what I mean by being selfish. You've got to just go in and just do it, right? Rip the Band-Aid off and just throw the stinking pitch, okay? Fear of competing against stronger hitters. Why? All their cards are on the table. You know what you're pitching against. It's that simple. If you can keep it that simple, you will get them every single time. Like, fun fact here, even back in the day when I pitched, I was very attentive to who the heavy hitters were. And I would mess with them. And to this day, when I'm coaching and I'm calling pitches against teams, I do the same thing. And it's like, I make it like a thing for me. Like, that girl will not get her, foot on first base. Like, it's not going to happen. Whether I get her to pop up, whether I get her to ground out, whether I get her to strike out, it's just not going to happen. So the fact that somebody's a heavy hitter, a strong bat, that's all you need to know about how to get them out. It's that simple. And then believing that one bad game defines them. If you're a pitcher and you feel like, let's say it was like a state game and you guys lost state, that's a high level emotional moment to work through. Are you allowed to feel that way for some time? 100%. But you need to move through it, because you'll get stuck there. And you'll always have that story of if you'll always live in the past. You'll never get to your future because you're going to be so worried about back here, right? So one game does not define you. If anything, that one game just reveals to you what you need to get better at. And that in itself is actually a flex. If you can look at it like that, you are so wise beyond your years, kiddo. If you're a pitcher listening to that and you're able to actually receive what I just told you, you're going to be great. Like, you got some good things coming your way. And I'm not saying if you heard that you're not going to be great, you're not going to have good things coming your way. But what I'm going to tell you right now is if you don't start making a switch on how you view a bad game, right? Because it doesn't define you. It was just a bad game. It was a bad moment. Just like a perfect game. When you pitch a perfect game, does not make you a perfect pitcher. Does that make sense? I really hope y'all understand that. And if you don't, you can always ask me questions. You can just go to my website, CallieVSoftball.com. That's Callie like Sally, but with a K. V as in Victor, softball.com. And shoot me a message there. Or feel free to follow me on Instagram at CallieVSoftball. That's Callie like Sally, V as in Victor, softball. Super simple. All social media handles are the same. But shoot me a message if you have some issues with any of those things that I was talking about. I would love to help you guys out, okay? So the biggest thing I need you guys to take away from this little segment here is perfectionism isn't about having high standards. It's not. It's about attaching your self-worth to your performance. There's where the problem is. All right, the next part of this. Why perfectionism destroys confidence. It does. And again, y'all flex on it because you think perfectionism makes you confident. I mean, you guys are seeing what's happening with professional softball right now, right? Like, if you're listening to this podcast, I'm going to go out on a limb and be like, yeah, you do, right? Montana Fouts is dropping knowledge. Lisa Fernandez is still dropping knowledge. Like, she's the GOAT. right? But all these high level pitchers are talking about what they are still doing. They're still learning. Not a one of them, at least in my ears and my eyes, have I seen or heard any of these professional pitchers or even high level collegiate pitchers, okay, or a collegiate pitcher in general who is competing at a high level. I don't ever hear them say, oh, I'm such a perfectionist. They are always talking about how they are learning. Like if they're doing a bullpen and they know something went here, they have a feeling that they did this with XYZ, so then they apply the adjustment. That's some high level stuff right there. That isn't I said it earlier, like when you refuse to do certain things in the game. Yeah, honestly, like now the more I'm talking about this and like getting a lot of these thoughts out of my head, like perfectionist is low key kind of selfish. It really is, especially when you play a team sport. You're taking away the ability to learn something and to get better at. And your team needs you to get better instead of being stuck in the poor me wagon. Poor me, I can't figure it out. Poor me, everybody's mean. I'm gonna move on. All right, here we go. Okay, so again, this is why perfectionism destroys confidence. Confidence isn't built by throwing perfect bullpens. Confidence is built by surviving imperfect ones. Explain that every mistake creates two choices. Choice 1, I failed. Choice 2, I learned. I don't know about you guys, but I don't lose, I learn. Those are the only L's I get. Okay? Only one is going to create confidence. Which one do you think it is? I'm going to tell you a quick story here. Again, doing this for as long as I've been doing it, I have been in many arenas with pitchers and athletes and families, right? And by arenas, I'm metaphorically speaking, like whatever the hard moment is they're facing in practice or in the game, right? And let's take a pitcher who maybe is struggling to where she really is only able to truly depend on 2 pitches. This is a really tough place to be in. And her changeup is not one of those pitches, which we typically want some type of speed differential pitch, right? But let's just say she's struggling, right? So she comes to me and she tells me, let's say it's her drop. Okay. I'm going to make the story a little nicer. And keep in mind, a lot of these stories are from true happenings. So I always protect my clients and my families that I've worked with by not saying any names. But the drop ball is a pitch that's working and the curveball. And initially, as a pitching coach, I'm like, oh man, we don't have any height on our pitch. Okay, we can't go high and in. Can't do that. All right, we don't have a changeup. Can't do that. Okay. So then it gets me to think, okay, wait, your drop though has a little bit of a speed differential, right? By like 2 or 3. Yeah. Okay, great. Curveball's your fastest pitch. Okay, awesome. All right, I can work with this. And so we start setting these goals. Like, all right, do you trust me? Yes. Do you trust me? Yes. Okay, we are going to be united. We're going to be calling these pitches. Or even in a bullpen, right? I want you to give yourself permission. If you hit your spot and they grounded out, they popped up, or they got a strike, I want you to be very happy about it. I don't care if it's a 15 pitch at bat. You are going to figure out how to get your win. Right? Now, in this moment, you could imagine a pitcher would think like, oh my gosh, there's no way I'm going to come out on top here. There's no way I'm going to win. I'm going to lose. But what if you could approach it like that? Like, man, I'm down to 2 pitches. And coach said, if I get her to strike, which is swing, strike looking, whatever, right? Ground out, pop up, like easy out, got her out. Maybe even a line drive, like still got you out. If you can learn how to celebrate those small wins, you're going to start to see your learn instead of your loss. Because as a pitcher who's coming into a game that knows she's only got 2 like solid, confident pitches, like nothing is working, right? Just these 2 pitches are, that's all we got. Okay. Initially, you might already feel like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be good enough. I don't have my rise ball. I don't have my screwball. Where's the learn in this? Where is the learn in this? How can you look through the lens of learn versus the lens of loss? Anytime you get to this place, pitchers, I'm speaking to you. I want you to remember it is simply a two-choice option. You either learn or you fail. The choice is yours. All right, I'm going to move on. Again, I could talk all day. I could do a whole segment on that one. I probably have. If you guys go through my podcast episodes, I'm sure I dropped something on that years ago. So I've been doing this. Gosh, this is season 5. I've been doing this for a while. So feel free to scroll back and go into the vault. All right. So the next thing I want to talk about is the science of growth. Now, I'm not a doctor. Okay. I was in the medical field for 17 years. I was an ultrasound tech, but if you guys know my story, I've talked about like majority of it briefly, but like when I was 20, I almost died. My childhood was not cool at all. I grew up with a very physically, mentally, and verbally abusive father. My biological father don't talk to him anymore. But the man I knew was a very broken person. And what I learned from that was broken people will break people. And he tried, but there's this thing called growth. I continued to grow through stuff. Like adversity was thrown at me everywhere. Like as a pitcher, people would look at me. I was one of the shortest ones. What did I have to bring to the table? Well, I'm sorry. I was throwing 64 as a junior in high school. So obviously I was moving correctly to where my body was able to deliver some heat, right? Don't judge a book by its cover. Anyways, but I loved to pitch. I miss it. I miss the ownership in it. I really miss it. I miss the confidence in knowing in that moment. I always knew exactly what to do. And if I didn't freak out. I took it as an opportunity to learn. I was very far from a perfectionist. I don't know what it's like to struggle with that because I've never been that person. I will flat out tell you, I am a hot mess and God bless this hot mess. And I'm okay with that. I hope you guys are understanding what I'm saying. So the science of growth. Let's just talk about how the brain learns. Failure creates feedback. Raise your hand right now. I know I can't see you, but maybe even put a little comment or something. If you're watching this on YouTube, just put it down in there. Yeah, I've heard that before, but I didn't understand it. Your failure tells you what you need to get better at. For instance, PGF Nationals last week, one of the girls had a 76 pitch game and they could not hit her curveball. There were 0 adjustments. 57 of her pitches were for a curve and 30 of them were thrown for a strike. And whatever was left, got popped up, grounded out, you name it, we made the play. Okay. So I jokingly told her, well, look what you did. You gave them their next practice plan. They're going to have to learn how to hit a curveball. Their failure gave them the feedback that they need to learn how to hit a curveball. So ladies, your failure, parents, your daughter's failure, coaches, your athlete's failure, that is their feedback. Pitchers, that is your feedback. There is power in your feedback. It's yours. It's special because it's yours. Okay. The nervous system learns through repetition. Okay. So I briefly, talked a little bit about my childhood, and you talk about nervous system through repetition. I learned at a very young age to basically walk on glass and not get my feet cut. Basically, the entire environment of our home was dictated off of the mood that he was in. So I learned that really quick. Now, let's put this in softball context, okay? The nervous system learns through repetition. So what could you do over and over again in your bullpens that would help you prepare for your game without having to think so much? You could actually work really tough situations, right? Full count, winning run on 3. 3 heavy hitters are up in a row. How are you going to get through these batters? Create the story. Work it through your brain. The truth is, your brain does not understand the difference between the physical rep and the mental rep. So if you start working through these concepts in your brain, guarantee you it's probably already happened to you once. You just didn't realize it. Okay. But you're going to make a play. You're going to strike somebody out. You're going to do something. And you're going to when it's done, you're going to be like, oh, that's never happened to me before. But man, it was like I knew what to do. Now that I've said that, you're thinking about that play that you made or that pitch that you threw or that hit that you hit, right? And you're thinking, it felt so easy. It felt like I had done it 1,000 times in my sleep. It's because at some point in your journey, in your brain, whether it was conscious, subconscious, you thought about it. So what did I do in my bullpens? My gosh, wouldn't you have loved to have been a fly on the wall when I was throwing in my front yard driveway into the barn? Yep, I had a barn with a four quadrant target spray painted on it. And that was my bullpen, friends. And if you could hear the stories, I would say, I even did this when I was practicing breakaway calf roping because I grew up rodeoing and we had a rope and calf dummy. Like it's just calf head and you just put it into the bale of hay. And that was, I had to throw so many loops, every day. And I had to pitch so many balls every day. I had these things that I had to do. So I would tell myself stories. So my clients, this is something that my girls work with. It's a mental bullpen. It takes a little bit longer than normal, but literally what they'll do is they'll take their softball journal and they'll start to write a story and they start to create the batter that they're pitching to. Did she foul it off? Did she hit it right back to you? Make you want to pee your pants and then you made a double play? I don't know, right? But you start repping out those plays in your brain. And when it actually happens, it feels like you've done it before. So just imagine what kind of confidence you could actually build in your bullpens, the kind of confidence that you just expect to show up magically on game day with, which hate to break it to you, sis, it ain't showing up on game day if you're not doing it in the pen. If you're not doing it in your drill work, if you're not finding your confidence there, if you're not stacking your confidence there, your macro win that you are wanting, if you're not stacking those micro wins, you will not get the macro win. That makes sense. Good. So we understand that we can actually train our nervous system. We can actually train our entire body through really good repetition. And by really good, I mean, we're working through the emotions, the mental, the physical. We're making the adjustments. You guys are tracking this, right? Okay, good. Your adjustments are going to come after your awareness. So I'm a fan. I love to teach the one thought process to help set you up, to get you ahead quicker. But let's say you use your one thought process and it doesn't work. And you have about, 13 seconds to find your adjustment. And you have to think of the one thing that felt off. And you have to apply the one adjustment to that one thing. The moment you start applying adjustments in any other direction other than the one thing, as chaotic as the direction goes, that is exactly what happens internally. Your emotions, your mentality, everything goes out the window. It's called survival mode. Okay? Ladies, growth happens outside of the comfort zone, not in the comfort zone. Does that make sense? You can't grow if you're just chilling. It just doesn't happen. Okay? So if your daughter never struggles, parents, this one's for you. If your daughter never struggles, she's probably not challenging herself enough. And even worse, if your daughter feels like quitting pitching and she's been pitching for a couple of years now, but you feel like she's not working on her pitching enough, maybe what she's been doing isn't working anymore and you need to find something else to do before you just let her quit. Because the truth is, if you just let her keep quitting like that, she's going to keep quitting in things when she's an adult. I don't know what to tell you, but softball taught me so much about life. Next to the Bible, this guy, okay, next to this guy, softball is a pretty good blueprint for life. Okay, moving on. So parents, I don't know if you guys realize this, but you have more influence than you think. You really do. And I think sometimes you guys do, but you get caught up in what everybody else is doing and what everybody else is thinking and what everybody else is pursuing. FOMO is a real thing here now. Now it has a name. It's something we've felt for centuries, but now we've dubbed it fear of missing out. Okay. I'm going to go over some phrases and I have a feeling you're going to be like, oh crap, I've said that before. But these are the phrases that I really want to get you to avoid saying. And if you've never said them, high five. Thank you. Thank you. Because you're not building a daughter who is becoming a perfectionist. Okay. Are you ready for this? Because this by far is my favorite one. And this by far is the one that will tick me off so quick. Just throw strikes. What are we doing, y'all? Better yet, what do you think they're doing? They're trying to throw a strike. Duh. Don't walk her. Okay, first of all, anytime you say don't, you just looped your kid. Your kid's going to get stuck. And guess what's going to happen? She's going to walk her. Just like when your pitcher sees the cute little batter and she's like, oh my gosh, don't hit her. What happens every time? The cute little batter gets smoked. It always happens. So stay away from the word don't. Okay. If you have a fear of walking somebody, tell yourself, I can throw a really good curveball, whatever pitch is being called. I can throw a really good changeup. Ooh, a changeup is my best pitch. Positivity, y'all. Allow it to come in. I'm giving you permission. You don't have to be a complete douchebag to yourself all the time. Trust me, there's going to be plenty of people in your life that are going to stand in line to be that person to you. Don't be that person to yourself. Okay, moving on. You have to pitch well today, little Susie. What? No, says who? Do the best you can do. And that's all you can do. Ugh, that just irks me. And then another D word, don't mess up. Sorry to burst your perfect little bubble. They're going to mess up. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to hit batters. They're going to walk batters. They're going to pitch balls over the plate that are going to get smoked and be like, some of them may have not even landed yet. Okay. This is part of the position. The best thing you can teach your daughter is how to show up after all of those things happen. That's the conversation you have. You don't tell them what they have to do before the game. Man, those kids, this is why mental health in sports it's increased. The need for it has increased. Because the increase of FOMO in parents, the lack of accountability, the lack of boundaries, that parents are not willing to have on themselves and then their kids, like too much damage is being done. And the damage is 100% preventable. They increase the pressure. So I want you to think, okay, these phrases, just throw strikes. What's something else you could say? Don't walk her. What's something else you could say? You have to pitch well today. What's something else you could say? Don't mess up. What's something else you could say? I really want to challenge you guys. Even coaches, if you are saying this to your kids, say something else. And pitchers, if you are telling yourself this, you better switch it up too, okay? All right. So I'm going to give you some examples just off the cuff. What did you learn today? What challenged you? What are you proud of? What will you work on tomorrow? Talk about celebrating the effort, the resilience, and the growth, not just the results. Good night. Like nothing drives me more insane other than just their strikes. But when pitchers are pitching, and especially when they're learning how to pitch, like how to move effectively in efficiency, not just for the now, but for later in life so they can decrease the chance of surgeries and stuff like that. But they'll throw a strike and then somebody's like, yeah, that was a great pitch. And I'm over here like, what? No. Why are we pushing the result? Like, how did that feel? Did you feel like you were kind of leaning over because you looked like you were bowling? Okay, let's address that. Because when we can address that, that's actually going to help you throw more strikes. And then you're also going to gain speed more organically versus having to push for speed. And then you feel left out because you're not as fast as all your friends, because nobody ever taught you how to move the way your body needs to move most effectively and efficiently. Don't get me started. These are all like little micro episodes. I probably will strip this apart and make an episode on each segment here. This is crazy. So this is what elite pitchers do differently. Okay, I don't care how old you are. If you are doing these things right now, you are elite for your age. Okay. This is a high-level pitcher's thing. For starters, they move quickly. They don't move slow. They don't work on the swag. Nope, they move quickly. They stay present. How do you stay present? The really good technique is to pick up the dirt. Remind yourself where you're at, okay? Being in your head in the game of softball or any team sport for that matter is the worst place you can be. There's nothing going on up there but chaos. Get out and be a part of the fun, okay? It's that simple. Stay present. Trust preparation. Trust the training that you're doing, okay? If you have not learned how to trust your training, you are not training correctly. It's as simple as that. The pitchers in my program are given drills that speak to them right where they're at to get them to where they want to be. They're giving reps, set ratios, all the jazz, stuff that they need, not stuff that I Like, you need to throw 100 pitches a day. I'm sorry. Nobody in this day and age is going to just go out and just throw. Like, there's no progression there. There's no trust being built with themselves. It's a freaking nag. It's literally a chore at that point. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Because I know when I threw 100 pitches every day, mind you, I grew up on a farm. We didn't have cell phones. We had landlines. Haha. We had landlines. We had a TV. I had 3 channels. We had rabbit ears on our TV, but I had plenty of stuff to do. I wasn't distracted like most kids are, right? Compete instead of trying to impress. So if you guys are listening to this and you're in that recruiting age stage, right? The best advice I can tell you is if you would start allowing yourself, or at least continue if you haven't reached to the dark side, okay? If you would start just getting out there and having fun and compete and have joy, right? Instead of thinking, oh my gosh, all the college scouts are coming out. If you would do that, you would keep this game so much more fun for yourself. That's the biggest impression you can make on a coach is I'll never forget Patty Gasso talking about the thing that she looks for is when she sees that player playing the game and she looks for the joy. She's like, when I watch so-and-so play, I get excited. It brings joy to my heart. You can bring joy to your heart, friends. Quit playing like your life is on the line because it's not, okay? Reminder, God gave you this talent. He also gave you the love to play the sport. If you could look at it through the lens of you were playing to bring joy to him, almost like a form of worship, wouldn't that just take a load off of you? Just a thought. And the last one here is to simplify. Simplify. It's that simple. A lot of you guys think that weekly lessons for an hour long are going to be the best thing for you or for your kid or for your athletes. And honestly, if there's nothing going on in between, if there's no mentorship, if there's no mental side, if there's no nutritional guides, if there's no strength training guides, if there's no emotional support, it's not working. You got to simplify instead of doing what everybody else is doing. Okay. If your kid isn't doing their work, figure out why they're not doing their work. Simplify. What is their homework taking too long? How can you help them? I don't know, but simplify things for them. Okay. Elite pitchers do not chase perfection. They don't chase perfect. They chase progression. They chase progress. That's all they want. They want to be better than they were in the last pitch. It's that simple. If I know one thing, that is simplicity in itself, right then and there. Hence why I tell my girls, pitch one pitch at a time. Live in your headspace. Pitch. Be in the game. One pitch at a time. One pitch at a time. Don't be ahead. Don't be behind. Don't get stuck in the pitch before. Okay? Chase the progress and repeat it. It's that simple. All right, coming into an end here. These are 3 ways to break free from perfectionism. Tip 1, celebrate your progress. I don't care what it is. I don't care how big it is. I don't care if it's this big. You still need to celebrate it, okay? Instead of saying, I gave up 3 hits. Yeah, because you know what? Good hitters are going to hit your pitch. It's that simple. Get over yourself, sis, okay? Ask, did I execute my plan better than last week? Did you? You did? Yes, that's what we're celebrating. Did you set out to do something and accomplish it? Yes, I'm giving you permission to celebrate yourself. It's not everybody's a winner mentality. It's finding your success. It's that simple because some people will be like, well, not everybody can. Oh, no. Everybody can't. It's just some people refuse to. It's a choice. You can either fail or you can learn. What do you want to do? I could just stop right now, but I'm not. Trust. It's literally 9:00 at night right now, and I have been itching to get this podcast episode out to you guys. I don't know. There's just something powerful about this particular episode. Tip number 2, focus on one adjustment, not 10, not 2, not 3. Okay. 1 thought, 1 pitch, 1 inning, 1 batter. Makes sense? One pitch at a time. Okay. Tip number 3, redefine success. Winning isn't success. Throwing with confidence is. Responding well after adversity is. Learning faster is. The system. If you guys really truly want to hack the system of like what it truly feels like to win as a pitcher, you've got to create that space in your practice, in your bullpens, in your drill work. It's not just going to magically show up on game day. Okay. So obviously, if you've been at this bar in the podcast, you've heard me talk a lot about how you're practicing in order to show up in a game. There was this time in high school. Now, keep in mind, I had moved to a brand new school, brand new state on Christmas break of my junior year of high school after my parents got divorced. And I didn't know these girls. And I was used to, the girls I'd played with them since I was itty bitty. And so I was coming into a high school team as a junior in high school, not knowing these girls from Eve, right? And I also came from playing at a very high level. Now, yes, I played travel ball, but back then it wasn't called travel ball. It was called college prep ball. That's what I did. They literally took the best in these certain areas, and there were scouts that came out, and we actually had a teammate on my sister and I's team because she's 2 years older than me, so I always had to play up with her. But we had a teammate whose aunt was a scout for Kansas University, for KU, and she would just always give us the insight. So that was a lot of fun. But, sorry, side note. Anyways, I'm throwing BP, right? And they're working on their bunts. And I dove to catch a bunt. And I catch it, I get up, get myself, cleaned off. Now, keep in mind, the girls, there was only a couple that would really talk to me. Everybody else was very judgmental, and that's fine. They have every right to be. I'm the new girl. Looking back, I don't really care. I didn't really care. And in fact, this girl is actually like a friend of mine now, but she had every reason to be standoffish. I wasn't going to take her position or anything. She was a shortstop. I was a pitcher, but she made this really snideful comment, like, ew, why did you do that? It's literally just practice. I was like, because I practice the way I want to play in games. I didn't think 2 cents about it afterwards, right? So then we go to our spring break tournament. Lo and behold, the same play happens. You know it, right? But it was like a movie. Oh my gosh. When I played in my mind, it's just so beautiful because there was dirt flying everywhere. All right. Close your eyes. If you're driving, don't close your eyes. But story time. I throw the pitch and it comes off her bat. And I see that the bunt is in the air. I dive for it. My catcher dives for it. First baseman dives for it. Y'all, we are on top of each other. I'm at the bottom and there's just dirt, just dirt. First baseman gets up. She doesn't have the ball. Catcher gets up, doesn't have the ball. I'm still on the ground and I hold the glove up and I had it. Yeah. You know what I did next. If you played with me, you know what I did next. You guys know I used to tell girls to sit down too. I was jiving, right? I was in the zone, but we got out of that inning because of that. And I walked in the dugout. And I turned and I looked right at her. She looked disgusted with me, by the way. This was the funny part. And I said, hey, that right there, that's why I practice the way I practice. So I can do stuff like that in games. Would you like me to be done? Just teasing. But this is really what I want you guys to focus on is taking your practice so serious because there's a lot of stupid burnout that's taking place because girls are just checking a box. They're just going through the motions. They're just going to lessons because their parents think that it's going to make them the greatest pitcher ever, but there's no connection there. There's no stewardship there, right? Okay. So I'm going to leave you guys with this final challenge. Okay. This is for my pitchers. Okay. First of all, if you have a fellow pitcher in your life, if you're a pitcher and you have another friend who's a pitcher, I want you to share this episode with them. Okay. But I want to challenge you guys to say something like this. This week, I don't want you to chase perfect. You're going to be talking to yourself, okay? Sorry, I should have said that. You're probably like, what? Okay, so this week, you know what? I'm just going to say it like I would say. I'd be like, this week, girl, I don't want you to chase perfect. I want you chasing progress. Every bullpen, I want you to ask yourself one question. What did I improve today? What did Callie improve today? Because those tiny improvements, they're the ones that eventually become your greatness, your opportunity to own. Okay. So if you want to write that down, maybe put it on a Post-it somewhere where you can see it and ask yourself, speak to yourself like that. every day, put it on your phone, set an alarm so it goes off and you can read it again. Okay. But I really want to challenge you guys to look for your progression, to look for your progress, to look for your improvement instead of looking for all the negativity. Good night. The world has enough of that right now. Be a light. Okay. Be a light to yourself. Gotcha. All right. Perfection creates pressure. Progress creates confidence. And confidence creates competitors. So at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, do I want to compete? Yeah. Let's go. Just do. All right, guys. Well, I just want to thank you guys for listening to this podcast episode and for subscribing to the show. You guys know that's a way of becoming the big part of the big picture here at KBS. If this episode resonated with you, I would love for you to subscribe to the show so you don't miss out on these moments like this. I'd love for you to share it with another softball parent, another pitcher, or even a coach who needs to hear this message. And if you're ready to help your daughter build real confidence that's going to last, not just when she's pitching well, but especially when she's facing adversity, I invite you to apply for the KBS mentorship program. Together, we'll build more than mechanics. We'll build resilience. We'll build a competitor. And not just any competitor, a competitor who knows how to trust her process, not their process or that girl's process, but her process. Embrace her growth and compete one pitch at a time. So if you're not subscribed to the show, please do. Share this with the pitcher in your life. And I'm going to leave you with this one question. This is going to be your homework. Are you ready for this? What's one area where you've been chasing perfection instead of celebrating progress? All right, guys, I'm out. I got to go to bed. Thanks for listening. And as always, guys, take care and God bless.